Let's take a look at this.
What does it mean for you to be here to see Vice President Harris as the Democrat? You're here at the Democratic convention. What does it mean for you to be here to see Vice President Harris as the Democratic nominee?
I wanted to be here. This is not history. This is her story. She's going to be the first woman.
Bro, this is not history. This is her story. Why is everything about the symbolic, the symbolism in every situation? I'm just wondering why. Why is it? Have you ever heard anybody, all these people, and trust me, there's a lot in my life, that are just voting for Kamala, that have just decided to just vote for Kamala, in my opinion, for no other reason than she's black. For no other reason. These people have just made the decision that I'm voting for her. She's black. It is what it is. That's what I'm doing. It has nothing to do with the fact that she's actually qualified. Have you ever heard anybody that likes Kamala talk about how intelligent she is, talk about how she handled this particular situation, talk about how she solved this crisis? Right? She's in charge at the border, right? Talk about the things that she did to eliminate certain harmful things happening at the border. Like, dude, I just don't get it. And for a guy like Spike Lee, let's think about it. Spike Lee, extremely successful, right? Box office movies, very successful. But what has he impacted? What exactly has he impacted? What is the impact that a Spike Lee has made? I love Malcolm X is one of my favorite movies. Y'all know that's my guy. But what is the impact? All the do the right thing. Everything that he's participated in, what is the impact? If we are still at the bottom, like what was it to show us that racism exists? I'm pretty sure that anybody who lived in America or maybe looked at America understood that this country, America as it was formed on some pretty racist values. So when a guy like Spike Lee, these older activists, when they look back, they have to feel that their career meant something. They have to feel that their art meant something. They have to feel that they made an impact and that they made a change. When you look at a guy like Spike Lee, who's been very successful selling movies, what has the impact been? Because there's no impact, this is why the only thing that you hear about when people talk about Kamala, just like when people talked about Barack, that was more so because I think people just weren't into politics. I think Barack was very intelligent. But when it comes to Kamala in particular, everything is about she's going to be the first this, the first that. She's an AKA. She's this. Is she going to help the economy? Is she going to help inflation? Is she going to help the migrant crisis? Is she going to stop putting tampons in boys' bathrooms? Is she going to stop drag queens from reading books to kids? Is she going to stop men from being able to participate in sports against women? Is she going to stop this disease epidemic? Is she going to make the world, is she going to make our country healthier? Is she going to address the Food and Drug Administration? What exactly are these politicians being held accountable to do? Everything is just symbolic. Everything just becomes symbolic. And to be totally honest, it's on both sides. It's on both sides. I'm sure that there's a large population of those MAGA folk or whoever, the MAGA folk. And they just rocking with Trump. Let's just be real. Trump's entire presidency. He came after Barack Obama. Oh, we got this black dude in office. Okay. Let's see the response to it. Oh, we get a Trump. Makes sense. You went from Barack. People may be pissed off. Y'all voted for him. Y'all talking all this black stuff. I'm just voting for him because he's black. This is the response. I'm actually interested to see if Kamala does win, what will be the next response. But let's keep going with this video, and I'll hear what the rest of what Spike had to say.
To be president of this United States of America, blended family, you know, the whole Howard University, HU, you know. So this is a amazing moment in the history of these United States of America. And we got to go forward, not backwards. We got to go forward. We got to advance. You know, to bring equity around this nation where we will lead the world. So, you know, I travel a lot of times and outside the United States, and when this guy was president, people, total strangers, will pull me and say, "What the hell is going on?"
Donald Trump.
Yes. I try.
Yo, can I? My apologies. You want to know why? Because I didn't put at the bottom of the screen the name of the show. Literally on the last show, after yesterday, when we were talking about 12 out of the last 16 years we've had a Democratic president. Democrats act as if that didn't happen. They act as if Kamala acts as if she's not in office right now, like she's not in the White House. She's speaking on, well, if I get in office, you're in office. Joe Biden is clearly cognitively not there. So is it right for us to assume that she's running things? Like, isn't that what happens when the president is no longer capable of being the president, leading, thinking? Not healthy enough? So I just don't understand it. And when I look at, I said something to somebody, the conversation I was having yesterday, I said this. I said, 12 out of the last 16 years have been Democratic presidents. So if our country's in a bad place, isn't that a bad reflection on the Democrats? Because 12 out of the last 16 years have been Democratic leadership, and we are currently in Democratic leadership. And his response was, well, when Barack was in office, or when the Democrats are in office, the Republicans, they wouldn't allow him to pass anything. And I'm like, listen to the excuse that we give. That's the job of the president, the job of the leader. If the other side is not willing to work with you, then perhaps you shouldn't be president. If you're not able to sell, right? We're salespeople, the ability to influence. If we are not able to sell people on things and to influence people who may not be on our team, but they impact our country, they impact the overall team, right? But they're not necessarily in our party, I should say. Then perhaps you shouldn't be the leader. Isn't that the exact reason why I said that I would not be able to vote for Trump? Because he's too divisive? So if I'm sitting here saying that, I'm being honest, I can't vote for Trump. He's just too divisive, even though I like a lot of his policies. I look back and I like where, what specifically he did for certain groups. I like that he, instead of just talking to certain people, he actually did certain things, especially when it comes to the Black community. Just my opinion. I like what he did with HBCUs, put them on a long-term plan. Barack didn't do that. I like that he put together that council that was to explore and brought on different people, even had Al Sharpton. You got Donald Trump, Republican, bringing on Al Sharpton, super liberal, onto this council to figure out a way how to combat this issue of Black people not necessarily being able to benefit from the American experience as much as our other counterparts. I like that he put that together. I like that Black home ownership was up and unemployment was down. I like all of these things. However, because he's too divisive, because he's going to cause the country to maybe be more in this hatred state that we've been in, I decided I couldn't vote for him. So going back to the initial point, how come we give Barack the excuse or give Joe Biden the excuse of, oh, well, the Republicans didn't allow him to pass anything? Could you imagine Donald Trump going up there and saying, well, I tried to get this done, but, the Democrats just wouldn't allow me? Can you imagine what the other side would say? It's on you to figure it out. But when it's somebody that you like, what do? We make excuses for them. We validate their behavior. Bro, if you're not the type of leader, I'll give you another example that people may not be looking into. Our army. In a lot of ways, our military is a reflection of the level of pride that we have in our country, right? Do we need to look at the numbers? Where's my phone? Where's my phone? Hold on. Let me grab my phone. Hold on. Oh, it's right here. It's right here. I looked this up earlier. Listen to these numbers when it comes to our military. Our military right now, active duty, 450,000 soldiers. 450,000 soldiers. China, one of the largest armies in the world. The PLA army has over 1 million active duty personnel. And let me go back to these numbers. Hold on. Active duty. And then the total number for the United States so 450,000 active duty. And then it says the total number can exceed 1 million personnel. But active duty is 450,000. China's active duty is over 1 million. And their total of personnel is 2 million. So they are over double our size in both. India, 1.2 million active duty soldiers. And their number overall is 2.1 million. They're over double. Russia, 280 active personnel. So they're less than us, but their personnel is around 1 million. So the same as us. North Korea, 1.2 million active duty personnel. They don't have the other numbers. Oh, wait, hold on. This does not include reserves and paramilitary forces, which would add several million more. Pakistan's army has 640,000 active duty personnel. Total forces, 1 million. The Pakistan army is bigger than ours. Is this not a concern? Is this not a concern? Is this not something that we're thinking about when we elect a leader? Maybe we should ask some military people or ask some people that are considering the military who they would prefer in office. We like all these movies like Gladiator and Troy, right? We like the opening scene in Gladiator, right? When Russell Crowe is getting his army ready, talking about, pretty much, if y'all haven't heard the speech, you should go look at it. Using charisma, rallying up the spirits of his army. It makes a difference. We look at pep talks before sports games. We look at them as if they're significant. Halftime, this guy gave a halftime speech that was, y'all, like, imagine when it's actually life or death. Just how much it matters, the mindset of you going into this particular fight where you're risking your life. Imagine how much the leadership and you trusting and believing in the leadership of your particular country matters when it comes to fighting for our country. When it comes to raising a big enough army, there's no excuse for our army to be that. Why? Probably because there's so much hatred in the country. Probably because there's so much privilege in the country. Most of us grew up without even going to war, having these type of issues, even thinking about it. There's been no drafts for us. But is that something that we take into consideration? I don't know. But I would think that it's something that's pretty important, but we just don't hear people talking about it. All right, so let's go to this Andrew. Wait, I'm sorry. Dang, we got to finish. Let's finish Spike real quick.
Try not to say his name, but people, we lead the world. So, I travel a lot of times and outside the United States, and when this guy was president, people, total strangers, pull me and say, "What the hell is going on?"
Donald Trump.
Yes. I try not to.
Did you hear what he just said?
This guy was president, people, total strangers, pull me and say, "What the hell is going on?"
Donald Trump.
Yes. I try not to say his name, but people, total strangers on planes, just walking around all over the world saying, "What is wrong with America? How did that guy get elected?"
Who is Spike Lee? Who is Spike Lee? He's playing the very same role that we know him for, a super fan. We know him as a super fan with the Knicks, and now he's a super fan with the Democratic Party. Spike Lee will tell you that the Knicks are the best team, even though they can have 10 losing seasons in a row. But he's still telling us the Knicks are. This is no different. Like when I asked y'all that, really, who is Spike? What has Spike Lee contributed to the growth of this country? I'm really just asking. What has Spike Lee contributed to having us thinking outside the box, of figuring out solutions to problems rather than just identifying the problem? Hey, this white guy's racist to this black guy, and this is how this racism can. This is why a lot of these older folk hang on to all this symbolism, because they want to rationalize their entire existence or give credibility to their existence, and and as if they made a larger impact than they actually did. Because if they don't, if a Spike Lee does not embrace the Democrats, if he does not just embrace symbolism, well, we had a black president, male president, now we're having a black female president. If he does not embrace that, what does he hang his hat on? When he looks at his purpose, what it was, my purpose was to put out videos to let people know America's race. I don't think that was actually his purpose. I think that he wanted to actually bring change to this country. But if all of these activists that are in their 60s, 70s, 80s, if all of these activists who were doing all this work in maybe their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and now they're in their 60s, 70s, 80s, are looking at America and looking at black people in particular, because that's what most of his work was targeting, and you see black people are at the bottom, doing worse off now than ever, what did you actually accomplish? What did your generations accomplish? We are at the bottom. Not to say that you didn't try. Malcolm X, like I always tell y'all, he's one of my favorite people. But Malcolm failed. And I think Malcolm would acknowledge that he failed. He tied his entire existence to the Nation of Islam. He couldn't even put a roof over his family's head. He made certain decisions. He tried his best, and I appreciate him for that. And I think he's one of the greatest and most disciplined men ever. I really do. But if I get cut from the team, I failed. It's not to say that, oh, Dak's a bad person. Or I don't want to say that Dak failed his football dreams because, I like him as a person. No, bruh, I failed. I got cut. I didn't perform well enough. I'm not finna sit around here and make excuses. Oh, well, this happened, and then my coach was angry at me for this. No, you will never hear me say anything like that. I failed. Matter of fact, what you'll hear from me is that I let up. Once I made the team, I didn't keep the same consistent energy that I had when it was preseason in order to make the team. I relaxed a little bit. It showed in the results. It is what it is. I wasn't as hungry. It is what it is. Cool. Figure something else out. Try again. Keep going. We're just not real with ourselves.
So those 4 years were, the world was looking at us like with the side eye, like WTF.
The world's looking at us with a side eye with Donald Trump as president. We had no wars. Our economy was booming. If it wasn't for COVID, right? It's funny, but we can't give an excuse for COVID. We can give an excuse like the conversation I was having yesterday. We could say, oh, well, Barack couldn't get certain policies passed because the Republicans wouldn't allow it. We can give that excuse, but we can't at all bring up the fact that Donald Trump's presidency was impacted by a worldwide pandemic. One that he actually was criticized for calling out where it came from, when he kept saying China, China. But based on all the information that we see, where did it actually come from? All right, let's move on. Let me catch up with these chats real quick. Boom, 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 boom. All right. Ursi wrote, does anyone have a list of all the things Kamala did as VP? Chat GBT says, Joe Biden was the most impactful vice president in the last 20 years, immediately followed by Mike Pence. Citing the handling of COVID and the housing crisis in 2008. Kamala Harris's most symbolic moment was as first African-American, Indian-American VP. Her fight for voting reform was a total flop, according to ChatGPT. Well, if ChatGPT said it, it must be true. Shoot. Let's move on. All right, so I wanted to show this a little bit of this Andrew Tate interview.